Melvin, and today we're going to talk about the integumentary system. And part one, in particular, we're going to talk about membranes. Okay, so there are several different types of membranes. Before we get to the integumentary system proper, we need to talk about these other types of membranes. There are some membranes called serous membranes, and they line cavities not open to the exterior. So would you find these in your mouth? No. Would you find these in your ear? No. Both of those things are open to the exterior. Would you find these in your abdominal cavity? Absolutely. Would you find these lining your thoracic cavity? Absolutely. Both of those cavities are not open to the exterior. So serous membranes make, yes, strangely enough, they actually named it correctly, serous fluid. And serous membranes always come in pairs. There's the visceral membrane, which covers the organs themselves. And then there's also the parietal membranes, which line the cavity. So two pairs, and then they have this fluid in between them. And the reason that those are there is because the things that they're lining touch each other a lot, and there would be a lot of friction and would degrade the surfaces of those things. So we put a membrane on either side of them and some fluid in between so things can slide around without a lot of friction. Serous membranes are usually made of simple squamous tissue, which are flat little epithelial tissues, and some really thin connective tissue. Other membranes that you're probably more familiar with are mucous membranes. And these lie cavities open to the exterior. Do you find them in your nose? Absolutely. Do you find them in your mouth? Absolutely. So they make mucus, which is usually not necessarily everybody's best friend, but when it comes to the digestive system, it is actually a really important thing. So mucous membranes are made up of some epithelium over some sort of basement connective tissue membrane. So then there's synovial membranes, which are not epithelial membranes. They're connective tissue membranes, and the only places that you find them are in the cavities of your joints. So in your knee, it lines all the bones that are in there. And kind of keeps everything together. And they're made of dense fibrous connective tissue over another type of connective tissue called areolar connective tissue, and also some adipose tissue in there. Wow, these things are complex. The adipose adipose is a fancy name for fat, and usually when you have adipose tissue associated someplace, it's usually for a cushioning thing, particularly in membranes that are going to have two bones coming together, and you don't necessarily want them, jarring each other all the time. And synovial membranes make synovial fluid. Wow, that's amazing. The last type of membrane is the one we're going to spend the most time on. It's called the cutaneous membrane. And that is, in fact, your skin. So the integumentary system is made up of the cutaneous membrane. So the cutaneous membrane has two layers to it, and then one associated region, which is not really considered part of the integumentary system, but it's the only place that we have to talk about it, so we're going to talk about it at the same time. So the first layer is the epidermis, that's the outside layer, and then under that we have the dermis, and then the associated region is called the subcutaneous region or the hypodermis. Remember, hypo means under from our terminology section. Okay, thanks for joining me today. Have a good day.